Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Steven Universe, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Hayley Nabuurs, and today I'm joined by Beatriz Mourad and John McKenna.
Hi!
Hi, everybody.
You can subscribe to us on iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes, where we appreciate your star ratings, or just search Overly Animated on any of your favorite podcatchers. So today, Beatrice, John, and I will be discussing the always fan favorite character, Pearl, from Steven Universe. And this is kind of to tide us over, I suppose, because of the seemingly never-ending hiatus that has been going on since the end of May. So it's been a while. And we haven't done a Pearl podcast for a while, just like a check-in roundtable discussion type of format for a little while. And a lot has happened, and a lot is going to be happening, at least seemingly. So we wanted to see what's up with her, because she's probably going to have some interesting things to do and say with the next kind of themes that are coming up with Homeworld and everything. With all the secrets that she hasn't necessarily revealed, or the theories that we have about her. So, to start us off, I thought that we could start by discussing our feelings about where Pearl is at in her arc now and in the show overall, and kind of what we're thinking about Pearl at the moment before getting into what we see her getting to later on. So, Beatrice, what are your feelings on Pearl at the moment?
Well, I'm excited because it seems that Pearl is finally moving on from Rose. I don't know. I just, for a long time, while I adore Pearl, has always been my favorite, and she's always been so full of angst and this wonderful sort of romance that was never meant to be type of thing, that I've kind of want her to be happy now. It's been long enough. I want her to finally, not necessarily find her own space outside of the crystal gems, but to find her place. I feel like she's always just been in Rose's shadow. She's always been about Rose. So I felt that what we've started to see is her find her own voice and find her own purpose in this whole thing beyond the remnants of Rose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. That seems like something that we've been very steadily kind of plugging along, trying to get her not necessarily over Rose, but just moving on. And I like your point about how she really needs to have her own space, kind of, and like her own identity outside of all of that.
I mean, totally. I think that while I appreciate how long it's taken, because usually these things take a long time. I mean, she was it makes sense for them to have, all this to have lasted as long as it's had, but I really think it's time. It's time. She's come to a place where we're ready. She's ready. She's ready to take that step to making her, because Garnet has Sapphire and Ruby, Amethyst. She always has something. She has a wrestling, or she has Amethyst is someone else. But for Pearl in particular, she was just always about the rebellion. She was always about Rose. She was always about, and now Steven, in a way. Steven kind of became the Rose for her in some ways that he kind of took over. So I really just want her to, at this moment, from what we've seen, she hasn't been present, but I feel like that just suggests that there's going to be some really interesting stuff coming.
Yeah, especially also because with Steven, he's kind of, as we've seen, he's growing up and kind of taking his own authority and independence too, right? And getting into dangerous situations without Pearl present. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see how that changes, especially because a lot of the immediate threat to them is Homeworld, which she has a lot of baggage, rightly so, with, and
I'm
a lot
so
of fear
excited
about. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. What about you, John? How are your feelings? How are you feeling about Pearl at the moment?
The last year just confirmed for me that she is the best character in the whole show in all her perfectly imperfect neuroses.
Yeah,
that is
definitely.
And really, that just what makes her just really awesome in every way possible. Where she is right now in the show, I think Mr. Greg was probably one of the most important episodes for her because it's her finally realizing that it is time to move on. It's her relationship with Rose, be it as her Pearl and also as her and the unrequited love as it was. It's always going to be part of her identity, and she's never going to fully shake it. And let's face it, if you're in a relationship with someone for comparatively in human terms as long as she was, you can't shake that. And it is a constant reminder, just Steven being there, that yes, Rose is gone. Rose met somebody else, and Steven is the product of that. She's had to work through that. She's had to build a bridge with Greg. She's had to, and as for her own identity, she's had to, as Beatriz said, she's had to chart her own way, be independent. And she's done that. She's gone from sort of depending on Garnet, especially Garnet, depending on her for strength. That was that whole Sardonyx story arc where she kept putting everybody in danger so she could feel strong with Garnet, to realizing she could be strong in the real way, her own way. Yeah, sorry. It's like she's become a great mentor to Steven and Connie. She's been a great mother to Steven. I mean, she's letting him go on more missions. She's training him not just to be a surrogate Rose, but also to be a fighter in his own right, as his own, treating him as his own identity, which is very important for her because she realized that, she can't just make another Rose. She has to treat Steven as Steven and treat Connie as Connie and not let her own baggage affect them. And that's a really big step for her. And yeah, last one out of each day, she meets the punk rock mystery girl. And okay, we could basically confirm that Pearl has a type.
Definitely. She seems to like the shade pink.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
There's nothing wrong with that type. It's a totally fine type. And it'll be interesting to see how she starts reacting more with someone like that in a potentially romantic sense. I would love that to be further explored. But right now, she's become a much more rounded character. She's a great teacher. She's a great mother. And where she is right now, she's in a place where she is much more strong. She's grown a ton over the course of the show. And I feel like it's going to really start paying off down the line. And I really cannot wait for how she develops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it was an interesting point you made, John, about her as like a mentor to Steven and Connie, especially because I think I personally don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily considering connections in your life and relating yourself to people a lot and everything, but she takes it kind of to an unhealthy level where she always needs to have someone that she can kind of take care of, but also follow at the same time, which is an interesting dynamic. But I am excited to see how she progresses and possibly becomes more independent through Connie and Steven taking on their own independence and responsibility, because she definitely probably has more to teach them because she's like an expert swordsman that's been doing this for however long, like thousands and thousands of years. But they're definitely reaching a point where Connie and Steven are very much not necessarily pulling away from her, but having their own chances to be independent and using her teachings. So I think it'll be interesting because maybe she'll have a moment where she's like really sad that they're leaving her and is acting way too protective when she wants to be, but she doesn't necessarily have to be, but because she's taught them so well. But I think she'll end up with, oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, in terms of being protective, I think she's actually become a lot less protective as Steven has matured. I mean, well, yeah, she's good. Like, she's got enough to teach them. And, well, first off, the whole point of teaching Connie was to basically turn her into, well, herself. Pearl. And basically, yeah. And she's backed off there and realized that they're better, they're stronger together. They complement each other, and it's better to teach them both so that they can both defend each other and do it together. But remember, one of the first moments we saw of Pearl was she was literally watching Steven sleep every night.
Yeah. She's definitely gotten better.
Oh yeah, like she's gone from that to actually trusting him with a sword and a shield and can take him on dangerous missions. So I mean, she's definitely gotten better. Mm-hmm. And I know there's enough theories as to why she watches him sleep, but
I mean, on top of all that, like Steven has just become completely OP as of late. Like he is so overpowered. it's just this exponential increase of the abilities he can do that if we're noticing it, she definitely is noticing it. So there's yes, there's still much for her to teach, but she's backed off for a very clear reason. It's not just simply, oh, I trust them more. She's aware that he's a lot stronger now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to see how that acceptance that she has already been showing and will probably continue to show, I would expect. I want to see how that acceptance of his independence and his capabilities changes her even more so, because like you were saying, John, she's changed a lot since the initial season. But I want to see it even more so, and her, like you were saying, Beatrice, just be kind of not necessarily selfish, but just taking care of herself a bit more, because she seems very concerned with taking care of other people a lot of the time, and she's gotten better at that, but I think something like Pink-Haired Mystery Girl would probably help further that along, I would imagine. But yeah, how are you guys feeling with, I know it's hard to remember because it's been since at least May, but how are you feeling about the amount of Pearl that we've seen lately?
It's enough.
Yeah.
It's
It's like John, I feel, was about to say, it's enough. There's so much that has been going on with the show that it needed to cover that. Her taking a backseat in some ways it is understandable. I never felt, oh, they're robbing Pearl screen time. Oh, she needs more screen time. They're ignoring her. I never felt that way. If anything, a lot of people, I've come across many people who throughout the history of the show have felt that there was an overemphasis on Pearl. So I think they've been managing their characters in a really great way. And yes, she's kind of not been as present, but given how much we're getting to see of just the universe in general and how much we're getting to know about Homeworld and just where this show is going, she's going to be part of it. Like, we're going to see a lot more of her sooner than later. And right as of late, they're just really laying down that groundwork to explore those characters more in a different setting.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how Pearl is with all of this Homeworld dynamic. So, John, did you have anything to add to that, or?
I think Beatrice pretty much covered it. She, when the times where she hasn't been the primary character, when she's been a secondary character, you definitely see the signs that she's definitely developed a lot more too. She's definitely more, you can definitely see the independence in her. And again, that line from the zoo arc where she said, "When I served," notable pause, Homeworld.
Yes.
That's like, she's still hiding something, and she's gonna have a lot more time and a lot more secrets to unveil. So we can afford to be patient here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. More so, I think, than any other of the gems. She is the one that is holding back, and I cannot wait.
I know. It's going to be awesome when we finally figure out all these little secrets that she's been holding on to and just not sharing. Being very coy about it. How do you guys feel about, with all of this new Homeworld, where it's always been kind of like, oh, Homeworld and the diamonds, they've always been kind of a background thing that's always been a threat, but not an immediate threat, whereas now it's actually like tangible, like they actually have a connection through Lion to Homeworld, which is crazy to even imagine in this show that we've made it there finally. But Beatrice, how are you feeling about what Pearl might be feeling with how close Homeworld is now? What do you think about that dynamic?
As a viewer, I'm excited. Because we're finally, again, as I think I've already mentioned this, but she is she's the one with the mysterious past. We know about her from the rebellion to now, but from when she was aligned with Homeworld, we don't know anything. Whose Pearl is she? I'm so fascinated by the role of just the general Pearls and what they do in Homeworld, and I can't wait to explore that more, especially through the eyes of Pearl, and see what her take is of the role that she was restricted to in Homeworld. And for Pearl, I think just from her point of view, I think she's going to get a lot more nervous. She's going to get a lot more. I think she expected this to happen eventually. I think she knew that eventually they were going to have to deal with Homeworld. But maybe similar to how exponentially Steven has just grown in power, I think she may not have been prepared for how quickly they got to Homeworld and how she's going to have to face this now, and she's going to have to answer some questions that she may not be prepared to answer. But I think right now she's going to be very nervous about what is to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, John? How are you thinking about Pearl? What she's thinking about Homeworld?
Well, I guess my opinion is sort of considered the fact that I've been constantly checking Wikipedia to see when the new episodes will come back, and there's been nothing yet. However,
as have all of us, unfortunately.
Right. However, I did notice one thing. Apparently, during San Diego Comic-Con, they released a preview of a couple episodes, and I guess it made its way onto Wikipedia. Here's the thing, and this might be a little bit spoilery, but apparently Road Knight is a fusion between a pearl and a ruby. This has been theorized, but I think it may have been confirmed. And that pearl was a pink pearl. Now,
interesting.
Now, if we apply this logically, which is tough, but let's try, we know there are 4 pearls. Blue pearl is with blue diamond. Yellow pearl is with yellow diamond. This pink pearl, if this was a legitimate clip, it probably is, was pink diamond. What does that leave?
White diamond?
I'm long on that theory, which means that Pearl has the deepest connection to the Diamond Authority of any character in the show. So, and again, in the preview clip, she wanted to take Steven to Homeworld with her, because she felt maybe he wasn't ready for it, that she knew about the baggage Rose Quartz had, the fact that she led the rebellion, and it was, to have Steven in that area facing the problems that his mother caused. So I guess she didn't cause them now. She's probably, she was scapegoated pretty much now. But the idea of I think she is disappointed in the fact that she wasn't there to help him when he was at Homeworld and help process that. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that I think there's going to be a situation where not only are they going to confront the imminent danger that Homeworld will be facing, imminent danger Homeworld will be facing, maybe other galaxies will be Homeworld will face Earth, but also Pearl's going to have to face her own demons now. We're going to go back before she met Rose on Earth and her service to White Diamond, and that's going to be tough for her too, because that's a memory of when she was expected to just be a Pearl, just stand there, look pretty, do their bidding, which she has outright rejected by being with Rose, and then staying on Earth to be, to make herself into be the engineer of the group, this tutor, this mentor, this everything that a Pearl is not supposed to be. So it's going to be as much her own personal confrontation as it is being a mentor and a tutor and a team member. And I think that's going to be the next big thing. And it's probably going to be tough for a character like that.
Mm-hmm, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think, like John said, I think her betrayal, is even more radical than Rose's, simply because she is a Pearl. Yeah. And not only the chance to see Pearl before Rose, but I really do hope we get an episode where we see Rose in her trying to win Pearl onto her side. The episode where we see Rose find her way into Pearl's heart and go, "Come with me. You want to." That is what I want to see. And that just something I feel isn't explored enough. And I know that I mentioned how I want Pearl to find her voice outside of Rose and find her space for her own self. I do think that her relationship with Rose, for the most part, has been incredibly one-sided. From what we've seen, has been portrayed as incredibly one-sided.
Yeah, we can't talk to the other half.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just that we can't talk to the other half, but it feels to me that Pearl is the only one that was ever in love. It felt like it was this unrequited type of love, but I don't know. What if they were this kind of Romeo and Juliet type of, not that type of scenario, but this kind of star-crossed lovers type of scenario? What if she, I want to see Rose kind of leading her on, because I at times I do feel like, Rose, come on, like, she can't have been so deeply in love with this woman if the woman didn't show somewhat of interest a little bit, you know?
So we're talking like Ser Jorah and Daenerys?
Kind of, basically.
Yeah, it actually really is like that, isn't it? Yeah, 'cause I feel like my impression, at least, of their relationship is that I think that Rose did, like, love, in quotes, Pearl, but I think also her approach to life in general and relationships with people was pretty, I don't know, like, loosey-goosey in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, she doesn't seem to have as much, like, devotion as Pearl does. Right. But I think they had a genuine connection, but I think Pearl felt it more than anything else. And I think that might be a really interesting thing that might come out of that very long-awaited episode of seeing how they met in the first place, because it could be related, just as a theory, to something like that, because Rose was the savior of Pearl, and Pearl's life, I'm assuming, because she was a Pearl, was probably pretty mundane, because Pearls are expected to be essentially servants, right? So being saved by Pearl and being liberated, or being saved by Rose and being liberated by Rose would probably create quite a bit of a strong attachment and feelings to her that Rose might not necessarily feel back. But I really want that episode. I feel like that's been a very long time coming, and it's going to be really awesome when it does.
Well, I think the comparison, though, is like Pearl was devoted to just one woman for a long time. At first it was probably her diamond, because Pearls are hardwired to be devoted to their diamond. That's what they're there for. Then she chose to be devoted to Rose Quartz, and now she had to find somebody else to cling to, which would be pretty traumatic, which is probably pretty traumatic, because she's clung to Garnet, she's clung to Steven, she's trying to be clingy to all these people. She might wind up being clingy to Mystery Girl, we don't know.
You never know.
Rose, meanwhile, but Rose was devoted to everybody. Like, she had an army, she cared about all life on Earth, she cared about her troops, her soldiers, and everybody else. So that's I think a major separation. I don't want to say Rose was too loosey-goosey. She just had a different mindset towards love and devotion than Pearl did, given their positions.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, for me, I just want to see. So far, I've just been told how incredible Rose was and how she is this. Of course, Pearl would be in love with Rose. That's the message I've been getting. I actually want Rose to prove to me why Pearl fell for her, if that makes any sense.
But how are we going to get that, though? I mean, every time we've heard of Rose, it's been through Pearl, through Greg, or through somebody else. And I don't think Pearl might not paint the most accurate picture either.
I don't know, maybe a flashback, maybe. See, that's hard, because even then, who's doing the flashback? Because that might
be the problem.
Who might be narrating that? But see, I don't know. That's a good question, but for me, I haven't been sold on Rose. Even after all this time, I can see Rose as like a great mother, and I buy her relationship with Greg. But when it comes to Rose, maybe it's because I'm just very protective of Pearl. Maybe because I am very protective of Pearl. I'm just like, how could you do that to Pearl, Rose? How could you? So for me, I just need Rose to prove herself in a way. I need her to show that she is as great as everybody said, which is, I don't know how they're going to do that, but that's a want. Whether that's a feasible want, we have yet to see. But
yeah, I definitely want an episode where we get to see them actually in the past rather than just telling. But I think, like you were saying, we can't really trust there's a lot of biased opinions with the people we know. So probably they might need a different character, like maybe Pink Pearl, you never know. Or someone else that was there at the time, but they'll probably have their own biases, but not quite the same that we're used to. So it might show something different. Or maybe Lion turns out to have holographic projections or something like that, and we can see, or whatever. I don't know. But yeah,
we get it for a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
No, okay, but all right, here's an idea. Give me White Diamond as the narrator of the flashback. Yes, give me the person who doesn't like Rose, who has every reason to hate Rose because she took her Pearl away. You know what I mean? Give me that. that would be interesting to see, because maybe by showing the extreme ends of biases, we can try kind of happy medium.
Yeah, something in between that makes sense. That might be better than like lions spitting out a VHS randomly. That'd be interesting though, but maybe not a
third one.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that maybe it's wishful thinking, but I feel like that, or an episode like that addresses those things about like how did Pearl actually meet Rose and what's Pearl's backstory and everything. I think that type of episode or episodes is going to have to happen at some point, especially because Pearl is such a very popular character as well, and it's been heavily hinted that she's got more that she hasn't told us, so we kind of need to see it at some point. So I'm excited for that. Do you guys have any, like, theories or interesting things about Pearl's identity beforehand? I personally am in the camp that she's White Diamond. White Diamond's Pearl, because of the placement.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm at.
She's White Diamond? What?
Yeah. No, that would be awesome, actually. Psych. No, she like grows 5 times taller and everything. It would explain why we never see White Diamond though, but probably not.
Yep. Oh, there you go.
This is like the deep recesses of Tumblr. Oh no. Yeah, but how are you guys feeling with that? How do you think that, or her relationship, even with just whatever her master was, is going to play into all of this, or White Diamond theories, or what are you guys thinking about any of that kind of stuff?
I'm gonna think that I'm gonna run with the White Diamond theory, and that she served White Diamond probably very loyally, very, very well. Saw something during the Gem War. I'm gonna say we're gonna start at the Gem War on Earth. That White Diamond was doing something that was so immoral and unconscionable that it shook Pearl permanently. And I think that event might be the explosion that Centipedal described in Monster Reunion, which I've long thought was a White Diamond caused biological bomb. Because Centipedal drew the 3 diamonds and then shaded it white. So I do think that that's a strong hint right there.
Wasn't Pearl part of the revolution?
Yeah, that was already when she was part of the revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that signified the end, in a way, of the diamonds trying to that signified kind of the end of the rebellion in a way. Like that, Pearl was already with Rose by then, I think.
Yeah, the timeline is very confusing.
Oh yeah, well, okay, yeah, that's probably true, true, but yeah,
no, but something like that, right? That would
something like that, and then she saw this Rose Quartz, who told her that you don't have to accept this. There is another way, and saying and then after some cajoling, some convincing, somehow you could be anyone you want. Join me, do this and all that, which would take a lot of cajoling because you're shaking somebody who is riveted to their station in life, as all gems on Homeworld are, and maybe at one point they fused. Maybe they met in court in one of those courts, and they fused, and then couldn't look back beyond that point. That's entirely possible, and she then saw there was a new way, and then followed her. But it's tough though. I mean, it's tough to theorize, but that's the best I got. I feel like the show could do that 10 times better than I could.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna join with the Pearl is White Diamond's Pearl, but I mean, maybe she won't be. Maybe they'll surprise us, and it's like, surprise, it's Rainbow Diamond. Who knows? But I think that how can I put this into words? I do believe that, okay, maybe it's because I'm romantic, but I want maybe Rose, I want her to kind of, I don't know, I have this image that before she was the Rose Quartz, the rebel that we know, maybe she was still like accepted in Homeworld, but was somewhat of a controversial figure or something. There were a lot of rumors about her. And then you have I don't know, some sort of party or something, and White Diamond is there, and then Rose makes an appearance, and then suddenly Pearl meets her, and it's just something happens. Maybe it's the romance in me.
Eyes lock across the room kind of
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Kind of like that, maybe. And suddenly she falls for the rebel, and it's she shouldn't be doing that. Who knows? But I'd love to see that.
That'd be amazing if it did happen.
I'd love that to happen. Chances are that's not going to happen, and she did probably have to experience some sort of trauma. Something had to have happened for her to start doubting Diamond. She can't just White Diamond. She can't have just even though the romance in me wants that, she can't have just fallen for Rose and that have been enough. There has to be something, or at least for the sake of Pearl, there has to be something beyond the romance. The romance has to be an element, but it can't just be the romance for her to have just done that radical thing. I think she was the person who had the most to lose. Well, the gem who had the most to lose. She was the one who was risking her neck out the most. She was doing the most radical thing. My theory is that I don't know. Maybe she had to do something. Maybe, I don't know, she had to destroy a gem with her bare hands or something. Or maybe that wasn't enough. I'm not sure. When it comes to Steven Universe, theories are just they're very
abstract.
With Steven Universe, I don't like theorizing because one, I'll probably always get it wrong, and then two, they'll do it better than I could ever imagine. So
it's very true. Yeah, no, I think there had to have been some sort of catalyst, especially because as we've seen, the gems are essentially programmed almost to do their job, and especially in the case of pearls, they seem to have a lot of devotion to their diamond. So something had to have happened, but this wasn't just on a whim.
And Pearl is still kind of hardwired in a sense as well, because there's still those moments where you could tell, yep, she's definitely a Pearl. She volunteers to do all the chores around the house. She still washes Steven's clothes. She, so often, I think she did the cooking at one point, which was pretty hilarious. So there is still that part of her where she's still, it's still very Pearl-like. Which could also be interpreted as just being, Steven's mom.
Mm-hmm. So here's a theory that just hit me. Do you think there is even the slightest chance that because she is there might still be some programming left in her, that maybe when she finally does see White Diamond, there's kind of a betrayal, and she goes with White Diamond, and then suddenly they're just Pearl, no, and she just betrays them, and it's this really tragic thing. And not that she won't come back to their side, but maybe for a very short period of time, because she was so brainwashed as a Pearl, she will maybe come back.
Oh, I hope the writers aren't as cruel as that.
I know, but wouldn't that be awesome? I like it, but I also hate it.
I could see that being a major plot point where she's confronted with that in a sense, and or somehow, or something like that. I could definitely see that as being a plot point, but I really hope she doesn't, cross sides. I think you'd devastate half of Tumblr if you did that.
Yeah, but even if it wasn't anything that dramatic, but just a slight kind of, she's drawn to her or something, I don't know, but I like that, Beatrice. That would be really interesting, especially because she has so many strong ties to so many different people. That would be very interesting to see.
Maybe it's not to the point where she crosses sides completely, but say there's and this is me now writing fan fiction, but maybe there's an opportunity for them to end White Diamond, but then Rose self-sabotages because she can't do it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not a complete betrayal, cut and dry, now she's working for the other side. But there was enough of a betrayal there where suddenly she can't be trusted, and they have to. And she has to she hesitates at the wrong moment, and suddenly she has to rebuild her trust with everybody she knows. Oh God, I love Pearl, but sometimes I'm just sometimes I'm glad that I'm not a writer, because I just want to torture everybody and just let's see what possible pain I can inflict.
Oh no. Well, I think that would be interesting. I feel there's an awful lot that we have to get to in the show, but I think that I would like that, actually. Just a brief moment of it. That'd be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I definitely want to see a relationship with White Diamond that is a little bit more complex than just simply brainwashing. I'm just doing what she's telling me to do. Like, I want there to be like I want there to be a connection between them. I want her to, I maybe not as much devotion as to Rose, but I want there to be something. Make it a little bit more complex than what we've seen from the Pearls and their connections to Diamonds, because from what we've seen, they just simply were, kind of like a hierarchy. It's the Diamonds on top and the Pearls are their right-hand people, but or gems and whatever. So I do want more complexity, and I think with White Diamond and Pearl, we're gonna get that.
Yeah, especially if she's so, as we've seen, she's so unwilling to talk about White Diamond, and that is probably obviously due to the fact that she's like escaped her and all the homeworld wars and everything like that. But I would imagine there's also probably some sort of like a strained, really kind of toxic almost relationship between the two of them that would be very interesting to get into and would, as you say, bring a lot of pain to the characters, but that normally leads to really interesting TV, so that's might be a bad thing.
You're bringing pain to a character that's already very painful.
I know. We love her, though.
That's what makes her such a good character.
A friend of mine described it perfectly. You'll love her one moment, you'll hate her the next, and you'll go back and forth over the course of every episode, and you'll still you'll go, I can't hate her anymore.
No.
Even though she'll do stuff that makes you go, what are you doing? What are you thinking?
Yeah, but she's got all this great backstory that makes her, like, all of her actions, or maybe not all of her actions, but like there's a rationale behind what she decides to do that you can track as well, which is really interesting.
It's human. She heirs to human, and she is flawed, and she will always be flawed. But the point is that she's trying to work through it, and that's what makes her so compelling.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just give me a White Diamond Pearl duet. Give me a song of them singing.
Yes.
Just give it to me. And
White Diamond has to sing a song. They all have so far.
Oh, totally. So. But give me like a duet. Give me them just working their stuff out between. There's so much that can be done.
What if there was like a battle sequence and they're singing a duet while they're battling or something?
Oh,
I was just picturing that. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Still my heart. That would be so great.
So good. Yeah.
Anything that gets Dee Dee Magno-Hall in front of a mic is something I can support.
Yes.
But there is one thing I've thought of ever since, and I've been thinking of this for a while when it regards to Pearl. This is totally off the wall, but I feel like this would be great. You remember imagine if the Fusion Cuisine episode was set in season 4. Can you imagine, like, knowing all that we know about Pearl, knowing all the issues she had with Rose, the issues she had with Greg, the fact that she had to take it upon herself to raise Steven as her own. Imagine Fusion Cuisine as a season 4 episode where Pearl has to pretend to be Greg's wife.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
That's true.
I feel like that's what the episode should have been, because it would have been amazingly, awkwardly hilarious.
Oh, it'd be so awkward. It'd be painful. But really interesting.
Yeah, and that's actually, and that gets me into like one thing. Then that sort of relates back to like, can we now say that Pearl loves Steven as Steven, or is she still sort of taking care of him because of an obligation to Rose? Like, does she finally love Steven as if he were her own son?
I think so. I think she does at this point.
And if there were any doubts before, I think it was with Mr. Greg that we got that, because I don't think she would have made the effort to bond with Greg had it not been something that would mean so much to Steven. I mean, it felt like two parents of, like, not divorced parents, but two parents having to reconcile for the sake of their son. That's how it felt like. So I do think she cares about Steven as Steven.
But did she care about Steven just out of loyalty to Rose, though?
I think at the beginning, probably.
Yeah.
But it's morphed beyond that because of all the things they've gone through and everything as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it probably was like a devotion-based love that is based on the like her devotion to Rose. But I think that we've seen, especially as Steven has grown into his own independent person that is different from Rose and makes different decisions than Rose and things like that, that she's now really accepted him as his own individual, which has been really nice to see.
And she encourages him with the Pearl prize pouch.
Yep.
That's still one of my favorite. That's still one of my favorite moments of the show, because that means
So
that
good.
Pearl actually goes into Beach City, goes to the dollar store, and buys stuff just for Steven to win.
I know. She's adorable.
Yeah.
She's so sweet. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have any other topics of concern? I know you were interested in talking about the Mystery Girl. So what are you guys thinking about Mystery Girl? John, did you have any ideas?
We need a date episode.
Yes, please.
We need a
Yes,
date
please.
episode. Well, mostly because you want to see it's like, okay, this is Pearl now interacting in a more intimately than in last one out of Beach City. Her interacting with a human, potentially romantic. In fact, I think most people would say you hope it's romantic.
Mhm.
Like, how hard does it become for her to disassociate herself from Rose in the context of another lover?
Yeah.
Because that's the tough part. It's harder because, Sheena, well, I'm calling her Sheena. Lauren Zook called her Sheena, so I'm going to roll with that as the name right now. It works. It works.
It does. We have nothing else we can't keep calling her Mystery Girl, so that works better.
Yeah, the working title is Sheena. We might get the name later. But it's like, she looks so much like Rose, probably acts a little bit like Rose, and there's like a sort of rebellion sense, but like the human rebellion sense, where she wears ripped jeans, goes to garage shows, and rides a motorbike. Can Pearl put aside Rose for long enough to establish a deep connection, a deep romantic connection with somebody else? That's something I would really like to see, because I feel like that would just be the next step for her, of sort of confirmation that she is able to move on with her life and not forget Rose, but accept that that it really is over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that'll be a really interesting thing to see as it progresses, and I hope for the sake of her that she can. I think that she'll be able to. I think it will probably be contentious. Also, introducing Sheena to all of this wacky crystal gem stuff will be kind of interesting too.
Well, who would it be contentious to, though? I mean, Steven was rooting for it. Most of the crystal gems would probably be fine with her, establishing a deep connection. Greg, Greg might wind up stealing her. You don't know, but there's a comic about that where Mr. Girl falls in love with Greg and Rose, and Pearl's chasing him down the beach trying to stab him with a spear.
Oh, that'd be so sad. No, I was thinking contentious in terms of like her own inner battle and kind of like the Rose that she has built up in her head, which is kind of even more than just a memory. It's like Rose is very present in her life, it seems like, but she's been getting better at that. So I think an internal battle in herself would be kind of where I think most of the tension would be. But I think that she would be able to not get over, but like move past that and accept that Rose is gone and that she can be with someone, and that's okay.
No, she's never gonna get over it.
No, not really.
She will never ever get over it. It's part of her, but it'd be total fan service for sure. But in that sense, yeah, it would be a sort of inner torment battle. And it'd be interesting though, because it would be first for Pearl. It might be a first. I mean, Greg probably has gone on dates before. He's way more relaxed about it, but it would definitely be interesting to see how, that would react to have yet another human involved in this weird world that they have, and be romantically involved in this real weird world that they have.
Yeah. I was a little nervous when I saw the Mystery Girl Sheena for the first time, because I didn't want Pearl to, have just a substitute for Rose. I didn't want that for her. I wanted her to maybe, if not move on, to just accept what's happened and to start, making it on her own. But what I'd like to see is Mystery Girl Sheena, for their first date, changes her hair color because she wants to impress Pearl, and suddenly she's thrown by it. Suddenly she's like, oh, this is what I have to get. I can't just rely on pink. I have to start saying goodbye to the pink, is what I'd like to see. See her like Sheena for Sheena, and not Sheena because she just looks like Rose. That's what I'd want to see. I'm excited. I mean, you had me at Pearl with a leather jacket on, so I was all down for it, and I hope that we get to see more. I don't want her to just be a character that's written off and we never hear from again. I do, and not just that, but I do want her to be developed. I don't want her to just be one of those. I want her to go the route of Connie, not the route of, I don't know, Onion.
Mm-hmm.
So, wait, Onion?
Well, not Onion, but I mean, like, Onion, because that was the first name I could think of like a background character that we just barely see. I mean, we saw some episodes of him in the beginning, but we don't see him anymore. So
Mr. Girl's gonna set fire to Funland, is what you're saying?
Oh, I hope not.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
She is a rebel, as we've seen.
I mean, you know, she could be a pyromaniac. Who knows? We don't know her, and that's what I'm saying. We need to get to know her.
Yeah, definitely.
Not just for one episode, but actually to have her be like a recurring character.
I don't know if they're gonna go as far as to make her make her a recurring character. Maybe like she might be like the maybe like pop in every so often. Like we'll know Pearl is still seeing her, but she's like, you know, she'll only show up for maybe like 2, 3, or 4. Maybe like once every 2 or 3 or 4 episodes.
Right. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough.
They could even do it too, where because it seems like there's a really strong arc coming up about them, like Rebecca Sugar said, like a murder mystery is the new theme for these episodes. They could introduce her and then have her be a member of this murder mystery just as a side character, kind of. And then we could get some development with her, and that would also, maybe something happens in Beach City and Pearl and her are near each other, and that's how she gets introduced to all of this craziness. But that might be a way to do it. I'm not sure. I really hope that she doesn't just get brushed aside, because it'd be so awesome for Pearl to have someone like that, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, if not Mr. Girl, I do want to see someone. I want Pearl, like they've opened the door. Now I want to see more.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see Pearl. I just want to see Pearl interact with humanity a lot more, because it's strongly hinted at that she really does connect with you know, the normal people of Beach City. She knows how to drive. She did apparently attempt to get a driver's license.
Yeah,
that was such a good, just random throwaway thing. Like, she went to the DMV. So strange.
It's like, I'm not exactly a citizen.
No.
What am I supposed to say?
Of the planet, even.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I'm like imagining like her like being befuddled by like the paperwork, because she's horrible at lying, so she can't just fill in that she, you know, is just a normal human, because she can't. But it's like, you know, she goes to the store, she buys stuff, she probably pals around with certain humans. Again, this is why I hate the way they do the show just from Steven's point of view, because I want just to see a day in the life of Pearl. Oh, just going around Beach City, just doing random stuff. Because we know, I just wish that was the case. But this would be like a date episode would give that as an excuse, and it would sort of, you know, open up Pearl to maybe the more possibilities of human life. Like she finally gets over her fear of consuming food, which was established for like a hot second. Like she drinks coffee for like that one moment, and all of a sudden starts sprinting around the globe. Yeah,
maybe Sheena introduces her to her favorite food, and she has to eat it to make her to show that she likes her or something. Yeah.
But the pained expression of actually having to eat.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think we're all on the same page. She would be awesome, and please have her be a character, please. It'd be so amazing to have her. Do you guys have any closing remarks or thoughts or anything like that about Pearl and what's to come and where she's at?
I think closing thoughts, I believe she's still going to continue being the best character of the show. I have no doubt. I think, I honestly, I don't think she's the only one left really with secrets, and I feel like she's the one who's going to become that pivotal character that's going to propel the story forward and move to that next stage of Steven Universe. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes next.
Mm-hmm. What about you, John?
I can't wait for her to reveal more of her secrets. She's going to be one of the characters to watch in season 5. I just know it, and not for even any of the normal reasons too.
Yeah, she's pretty great. Yeah, I'm just like you guys. I'm very excited because it seems like the show is going to a really interesting place. plot-wise regardless, and I think that Pearl's going to be one of those driving forces of exposition and interesting things and all the little hints that we've had dropped about her that'll just improve on her even more than she already is, and make her an even more well-rounded character. Yeah, okay, well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you want to find out more information about our podcast, you can go to overlyanimated.com, and you can also support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Utaka Guy 01. I butchered that. I apologize, Utaka Guy. And thanks, as always, to our Patreon executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. Do either you guys have anything that you'd like to plug? On social media or anything?
Yeah, my YouTube channel. The Be Real Movie channel on YouTube. B, like the letter B, like B as in boy, dash, real, REEL, movie channel on YouTube. I review movies passionately.
Lovely. Anything with you, John?
I'm a regular on the Rick and Morty panels, so if you guys want to subscribe to Overly Animated's Rick and Morty feed, you can hear me talk about that. That should be fun.
Beautiful. Okay, well, thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.